You always want your videos to sound good, but it's not easy to get the sound you want when filming. In this audio recording tutorial, we'll talk all about the basics: signal flow, setting a level, mic sensitivity, wireless mics, capturing with your camera or an external recorder, mic placement, and more. Chris here from Videomaker. There are timecodes below if you want to know what we're covering or want to jump to any place in the video. Are you a beginning filmmaker? If so, we have a shopping list of the 9 essential things every beginning filmmaker needs when getting started. To get it, click on this card or the link in the description. Why is good audio in your video important? Consider this. A good video with poor audio is not a good video. Most people will sit through poor visuals, but they won't with bad audio. Here are some general rules for setting yourself up for success when recording audio. First things first, make sure you have all the cables you need. And if you can, bring extra. It's always essential to have backup cables just in case your original cables act up. Along with having the cables you need to capture what you need, make sure you have fresh batteries. It's also a good rule of thumb to have extras in case you need them. Also know what you need for each shoot. All of the prep in the world isn't going to help you if you forget an important piece of gear, so make a checklist of everything you need. Signal flow is one of the most important things to understand when setting up to record. It's also very helpful when you need to troubleshoot an issue. Signal flow is how your sound gets to the capturing device. For example, the signal flow may be a microphone to XLR cable to preamp and then into your camera mic input. Understanding the flow of your signal allows you to identify problems. For example, let's look at the same signal flow in the previously mentioned situation. In this case, following your signal flow allows you to identify an issue, but there's a signal at the sound source. The microphone has its cable installed, and there's a signal level on the preamp. With this information and following the signal flow, you can pinpoint the problem. The cable between the camera and preamp isn't plugged in. Once installed, the signal goes all the way from the microphone to the camera. Whenever you use a mic, you need to know what applications it's designed for to ensure it covers the frequency response of your sound source. When shopping for a new microphone, frequency response is often the most overlooked element. Frequency response is the measurement of audio frequencies a microphone is most sensitive to. This is expressed in Hertz or abbreviated Hz. Each microphone has a different frequency response, so you need to know how you plan to use your mic. For example, if you're recording a deep voice for a voiceover, you need a microphone with good reproduction between 70 to 180 Hertz. If you're recording a female voice for a voiceover, you need a microphone with good reproduction between 165 to 255 Hertz. Keep in mind that accurate reproduction of up to and above 15,000 Hz is vital for good voice intelligibility and clarity. The space you capture your audio in is the recording environment. Understanding the sounds and noises you will encounter in your recording environment will help you choose the right microphone for the job. It'll also inform you of the issues you may need to address, like the buzz of a refrigerator or the loud leaf blower next door. In some situations, using a high-pass or low-cut filter will save you from capturing frequencies you don't need. The keyword here is pass, which means to allow. High-pass filters set a cutoff frequency, allowing anything above to pass through and cut anything below. A high-pass filter is also referred to as a low-cut filter, depending on the manufacturer. It cuts off frequencies below 120 or 80 Hz, reducing the low-frequency sounds in that range. For example, this is an excellent filter to use during outdoor recordings. A low-cut filter does wonders in reducing rumble and wind noise. With all audio capture, mic placement is key. Where you position the microphone greatly affects the sound you can capture. The first thing to consider is critical distance. This is how far a mic can be from the sound source before the ambient sound of the room is equal to the direct sound that you're trying to capture. When it comes to microphone placement, you need to get the microphone as close as possible to the sound source. Close miking is when you place a microphone within 12 inches of the sound source. If you place the mic too close, you risk distorting and mudding up the captured sound. A microphone set too far causes the source to sound weak, and you'll hear more reflections from the recording environment. Keep your mic's pickup pattern in mind to find the best possible placement. To learn more, watch our other video on microphone pickup patterns. Always avoid recording wind noise and plosives. Be sure to protect the microphone from them. There are a few tools that you can use. The first is a wire frame with fabric spread over it, called a dead cat. A dead cat can lower wind noise by up to 25 decibels. You can also use a windscreen, though it's less effective. If you're in a studio setting, use a pop filter. It keeps plosives and hard consonants from making the microphone pop. You don't want to hear any issues when recording. The idea of fixing it in post-production is, at best, a poor choice. At worst, you won't be able to fix it. There are many times when you'll need to choose between a wireless and a wired mic. When choosing between a wireless and a wired mic, choose wireless microphones when you need mobility. When wireless isn't an option, like in a busy radio environment or when wireless adds too much complexity to the capture, choose wired microphones. There are a few options when it comes to wireless systems: UHF, DECT, or 2.4 GHz. Let's go over the pros and cons to choose the right wireless for your application. Wireless systems operating at 2.4 GHz are affordable, license-free, easy to set up, and can be used globally. However, they share the wireless spectrum with all other unlicensed devices operating in that range, specifically Wi-Fi devices. This means that you can run into interference issues in busy Wi-Fi heavy spaces. Additionally, the signal is more easily blocked when you don't have direct line of sight from the transmitter to the receiver. That means 2.4 GHz systems aren't ideal for applications where people may get between you and your shot, like a wedding or a live event. DECT systems operate in the 1.9 GHz band. This frequency band is reserved for speech applications and is much emptier than the 2.4 GHz. For example, you may get away with 1.9 GHz even at a busy trade show, but definitely not with a 2.4 GHz setup. Sennheiser AVX is a DECT system, combining professional audio quality with quick and easy setup. UHF systems are designed for the most critical multi-channel applications. They will give you more range, reliability, and flexibility for your setup, while offering more protection from interference. This is because they operate in regulated frequency spaces. If you make money from your production, choose a UHF system. Before using a wireless microphone, make sure to do a channel scan to ensure it doesn't have any interference. Make sure you understand how to do this with every wireless mic you use. It'll allow you to find a wireless channel that will allow you to get a clean capture. Make sure both your transmitter and receiver are on the same channel. Digital wireless systems like the Sennheiser AVX find the cleanest frequency in the 1.9 GHz band as soon as you power up the receiver. Be mindful of the batteries on both the transmitter and receiver of your wireless system, as they are a typical culprit of improper function. When considering whether to capture audio with your camera or an external recorder, there are a few things to think about. If you need more channels than your camera can input, use an external recorder or a field mixer to capture all of your inputs. The difference between a field mixer and a recorder is how many tracks you capture. A field mixer mixes the inputs and gives you a blended capture of all of your inputs. When using an external recorder, there are a few things you'll have to address for the best performance. First, set your camera input levels based on the first preamp you hit. It's best to set the camera to the lowest input it can accept and use any other preamp to get a cleaner capture. When recording with an external recorder, you'll need to sync that audio with the video during the editing phase. A clapper, like the one you'd see on a Hollywood set, works well, but something like clapping works too. It's helpful to choose a different clap every time you start and stop to make a sync point easier to find during the edit. Many editing software will sync for you these days, but having a point to sync to will make it much more accurate. Whenever capturing audio, it's important to capture the ambience of the room you're shooting in. You don't need more than 10 to 15 seconds of it, but it makes it easier to hide edits in post-production. If you have to cut off a phrase from the end of a sentence from an interview, having room noise will help your edit. That room noise will cover up the edit, making it inaudible to the viewer. This is also true for ambient sound captured on location. The ambient sound is also useful for setting the mood, setting up a scene, and taking the viewer to that location. Remember, if you'd like to get our shopping list of the 9 essential things every beginning filmmaker needs, click on this card or the link in the description. If you've made it this far, consider subscribing and liking this video. In the next video, we'll cover what you never knew about monitoring audio for video. Thanks for watching.